If you want to perform cardistry, you have to have the right tools to do it, which is why today I'm going over my top 5 cardistry decks just for you. And starting off at number 5, we have the Orbit V5 playing cards, which I think is quite fitting. This gorgeous back design is a beautiful blue and white combo with a thin orange line here, which actually makes it have a cigar band go around the outside when fanning. Another great part about this deck is that it is a circle back, which is going to make aerial moves look beautiful. And lastly, the medium white border is going to make packet cuts look great as well. Plus, this is actually my second favorite deck in my collection, but 5th overall for cardistry. So enough about number 5, let's get into number 4. At number 4, we have the Kogan Fontaine playing cards. The first really cool thing is that when you riffle through it, you're going to have all of these different designs going through, which is going to make your cardistry videos look really cool. But Kogan Fontaines are mostly known for their packet cuts. From the medium white border, the pretty simple background, and the rotating Fs, there really aren't very many card brands that make packet cuts look this good. But now let's get into number 3. Number 3, which we all saw coming, was the Fall/Winter 17 Virtuoso playing cards. This is the first on the list so far that is a borderless design, which is going to make fanning look amazing because you're going to have fans like this and then a different fan when going the other way. You also get a circle back design and a ton of contrast on this deck. Plus, the faces are even going to have a cigar band look because of the 2 lines coming out from the center. And this deck is going to be the thinnest in my collection, which is going to make cardistry even easier. Let's get into number 2. At number 2, we have the Orbit Aesop Rocks. I have complained a bit about this deck because of how I think Orbit playing cards messed up this deck right here, and I will let you check out that video in the description. But for the most part, this deck is amazing. I love the warm and cooler temperatures on this deck, from the reds and oranges to the blues. That makes a lot of contrast even within this one back design. It also has the cigar band, but this time the cigar band has a lot more contrast and it looks like a bit of fire going around the outside. And because they made their reds a little bit more blood red than the standard red that you have with your normal playing cards, even the faces have a ton of contrast as well. And I already talked about the circle back design with the Orbit V5s in the Fall/Winter 17 Virtuoso deck. Now before we get into the number 1 deck, I have 2 runner-ups. First of which being the Jazz Stripes playing cards by Got Magic. The first reason is just because of it being a borderless design, but only on the sides. This makes fanning extremely beautiful no matter how you do it. And it makes it great for beginners because it's a great fanning deck, plus it's borderless, so it'll hide a lot of the flaws in your fans. And one thing that's kind of odd about this deck, which I actually think makes it really cool for cardistry, is that the stock of this deck is a little bit thicker. It's not a stereotypical thing that happens with cardistry. Cardists usually like their cards thinner, just like the Virtuoso Fall/Winter 17s. But this deck, because it's so thick, means it's actually going to feel extremely soft in your hands. Because most decks that are thicker are usually a lot snappier and harder to maneuver and a little bit more stiff in your hands, but this deck is so buttery, I would recommend it to anyone. That also makes it work great for things like Under Pressure. At number 6, we have the Squeezers V3 by Organic playing cards. This obviously will be best used for packet cuts and aerial moves. Mostly because of the 2 grapefruits, you'll be able to see it rotate extremely easily. Plus, all of the face cards have actually been recolored, which makes it even better for the faces as well, which some decks have standard faces, and the cardistry just doesn't look quite as good. Before we get into number 1, just know that all the reviews to these playing cards are going to be in the description below for the ones that I have reviewed, and a lot of these decks are going to be 10% off, so you can check that out as well and save some money when you pick them up. And now into number 1, the Z deck by the December Boys. Now these are the V1s. Truth be told, I wasn't a big fan of the V2s, I didn't even pick them up, but the V1s are my favorite deck to perform cardistry with. When it comes to the back design, it is fully borderless, and the lines are not straight across, they're a little bit more diagonal, which makes fanning look beautiful. And since the left side and the right side are different, your fans are going to look different depending on which way you fan it. And although the faces don't have a ton to offer outside of the fact that with it being a black and white design, the red is going to have a ton of contrast even though it is a little bit more faded, this deck does have a couple more hidden secrets. One, it is definitely going to be a thinner deck. It's not all the way to Virtuoso Fall/Winter 17s, but it is definitely going to be a crushed stock, which means this is going to be a really easy deck to perform cardistry with. And lastly, it comes with your 4 bonus cards, but this time it's 4 cards that no other deck has ever had. And this is 4 green screen playing cards. Both the fronts and the backs are going to be green screen, so when you actually make your cardistry video, you can go in and post edit it. That way you can put anything over these 4 green screen cards. You want to talk about intentionality for the cardistry community? This deck has it. And if you want to check out the top 5 cardistry decks from last year, you can check that out right there, and the top 5 of everything else from last year right there, all in one playlist for you. And don't forget that this entire month I'll be doing a lot of top 5 videos, so make sure to subscribe and ring the bell if you want to see all of those go down. Plus, don't forget that all of the cards are 10% off, and the merch will be down there as well, so you can check out any of that in the description below. But enough with the talk. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is Card Perfect, signing off.